Welcome, everybody. I'm excited you're here with me today for another session of the Women's Empowerment Series. Today, I am joined by Carrie, and I'm so happy to have her on air with me today. Carrie, thank you so much for joining me. I would so love for you to talk to the women today and tell them your story. So, what kind of work are you doing?
Right now, I'm doing some administrative work for an office, and I'm really enjoying it.
That sounds great. Have you been working? Did you have a gap in, where were you before this?
We had a really big move. We moved from the Midwest to the Pacific Northwest. So I did take some time off, but I did volunteer a lot. I volunteered with parent teacher organizations. I was president of a couple of those organizations, and I got to really showcase some of my skills of volunteering, running different fundraisers, and actually chartering an organization, which was an amazing and somewhat at times overwhelming experience, learning about how to charter a PTA. But I used that experience to then be able to translate to the workforce with your help. It was something that I didn't realize was going to translate to the workforce until I sort of laid it all out on paper and really understood that all of that organizational experience and administrative experience really did translate to the workforce.
You were a really active volunteer, right? Like you said, chartering a PTO and presidents of many organizations, right? You didn't just stand behind a table at a bake sale, but yet you were still thinking that there was no experience there, right? Because the gap from your professional years, it went back a bunch of years.
I have two sets of twins, which is probably somewhat unique. So, having four children sort of close together in age sort of led itself to maybe not being able to jump right back into the workforce the way I had originally intended, being able to fill it in with the volunteer experience. And, like I said, with your help, sort of being able to see how that translated to being able to, once my kids got older, being able to use that volunteer experience to be able to translate it to the workforce really made a huge difference. And quite honestly, after having been out of the workforce for a little while, lots of things had changed. I think I lost a little bit of confidence in myself. Volunteering is sort of a safe space. They obviously are looking for help, and it's free help, so they don't complain. So usually most people are pretty happy with free help, and you as a mom can kind of jump in and help and sort of feel like you're doing a good thing. For moms, it's an easy way to sort of get that experience, but not feel like the pressure of being in the workforce. What I realized was, no, I was working really, really hard, and I was doing it for free. I was doing it for free, and I should be using those skills to like go get paid. I was really a valuable asset to these organizations that I was working really hard for. And I needed to be going out there and getting paid for these skills that I had. I still serve on multiple boards. I'm still have that servant heart. So I still can do those things. I just need to also go find a way to use the skills that I had gained over the last couple of years and get paid. And I still can use I can still care for my children. I can still show up for my children. I can still be there for my children, but I can still also contribute to my household and get paid with for the skills that I have as well.
Wow, I love that. So you found a way to make it all work, right? To still volunteer for the causes that are important to you, to still be, a dedicated, active mom to your two sets of twins, and get paid. And what does it feel like? How have you changed? What has this done for you as a person, going to the workforce and getting paid for your work?
I said I lacked confidence before. I think it's been a bit of a confidence, but no, not even a bit, a huge confidence boost. I think that, I'm not shy. I'm 47. I think at 47, I think I've sort of found myself again. I think two sets of twins is, I was just a wife and a mother before that. Like I had sort of lost myself in that. And I think I've reminded myself who I was before. I think through the process with you and reviewing, like really having to deep dive into what my work experience was before I became a wife and a mother, reminded me like, I kind of did kick but I kind of was a pretty cool person. I did graduate college in 3.5 years. I had great work experience. I worked really hard. And then it just reminded me like of all the things that I was capable of then, and reminded me that I'm perfectly capable of all those things now. I have other responsibilities? Absolutely. And do I adore my children? Absolutely. And will they always come first? Yes. But I'm still capable of doing all of those other things. And can be a valuable asset to a company, and can to coworkers. And but I wouldn't have worn red lipstick a year ago when I first met you. And I rock it every day now. And I
Go girl.
feel like, and I feel like it's a silly thing, but it's totally true. I feel like I am like a whole new woman, because I have reminded myself that I have value. And I feel like it just gets lost sometimes as a mom. We put everybody else first, and it's just human nature. And I think it was a good reminder that like I have value.
That was, I mean, so beautifully said, right? We do as moms, you probably, and all of us, even though most of us do not have two sets of twins,
Mhm.
but we still just view ourselves as our children's mother or a wife, even that word, and I can't stand the word like housewife, right? We're not married to the house, for goodness sakes, and we totally forget who we are, what we are, our value, what we can contribute. All those years of volunteering that you did, it was just like, well, they're just taking me because it's free. If they were going to pay somebody, they wouldn't have me. But yeah, they would have had you because of how valuable you are, of what you can do, of how you rock it, right? And look how great it is to come to work, right? You're at work right now, to come to work, be all dressed up, be ready to work. There's a reason to put on nice clothes and put on that red lipstick and put on the makeup, and provide work that's valuable to somebody else. It feels so good to be able to do those things.
It's funny because at my old office, everybody used to come to me kind of like as the person that asked computer questions and stuff. And I thought, surely I can't be that person anymore because times have changed and so much has advanced. But I didn't realize like how much I'd stayed up on some of that stuff. I still am that person that can figure things out. Like we have a really cool program here that I've sort of taught myself. And so I'm still the person that they ask questions about when they have a question about this program, not because they've uh, because I knew a lot about it when I came into the office, but because I taught myself, because I'm still that person. Like I'm still that kind of person that teaches myself things. And I was that person when I got out of college. I was that person when I, had my first job. I'm still that kind of like inquisitive, creative, I'm going to just do it myself and figure it out kind of person. And I got to this office and I was that same way. So I feel like I was very nervous that I was going to be antiquated and not be able to jump in and not be, valuable in this office. And, it, maybe took me a little bit, to sort of find my groove, just because I didn't want to, I wanted to kind of, get in here, but I totally found my groove. And I am still that person that people come to when they need something.
I think that what you just said right now is so encouraging to other mothers, because there's that thought that outdated, that thought that, well, maybe I was really techie back when I was 20, but not at 47. But what you said is, I taught myself, right? I was on the ball before, I still am now, right? I taught myself and I'm still the go-to person, right? So just to inspire other mothers to realize that, yes, absolutely, you can do this, right? So if
Mm.
you're feeling like you can't, if you're feeling like you're outdated, if you're feeling like too much time has passed, that person's still inside, right? We just have to remind her of who she is. So let's just talk a little bit. I know you mentioned it a little bit, but just like a little bit of, how did, when we worked together, how did I help you out, or, and help you to get to where you are from where you were?
I think I was pretty reluctant at first, but I think I didn't even know where to start. Like I think it was so overwhelming to me. And I chartered an organization. Like I had to like start from the ground zero. I created a flow chart. I had to recruit, 12 other board members. Like, so I'm a project person, but I like to start on myself and like to know where to start and like a resume and all of that stuff. It just felt so overwhelming. You sort of forced me to have to take like some deep dives into like figuring out like about myself and where to start and what I was interested in, and and just even looking back at my history and my resume, and just putting it together. And the Zooms that we would have, and you would say they'll be okay, like the kids will be okay. Some of that stuff was really hard for me, and you were like, I promise you they'll be okay. Well, guess what? It's a year later and they're okay. And they do a lot more for themselves now than they did a year ago, and they're okay. Some of it was knowing where to start, working through your program, working through, how to phrase things, how to, take your resume and tweak it for the individual jobs that you're looking for. That was huge. I know I used that obviously when I was like looking for a job. I know that I have used that even for when I have written letters for work. It's something that's come in handy, I think, for other things. So just sort of your methodology for it, and then just sticking with it, just sticking with the process, and having the confidence in myself that, like, if I don't know, maybe it's everybody, but just I think as a woman, we don't love rejection. So sticking with it and knowing that, I sort of felt like I was probably a little overqualified for some of the jobs that I was looking for, because I do have two sets of twins and I need some flexibility in my schedule, and, sort of talking through some of that kind of stuff. I think you really helped me through sort of working through sort of what jobs were out there for me, what I was applying for, what was available out there, the different options that I could look for. The whole process, it is a very overwhelming process. And I think you sort of helped me boil it down to sort of things that felt manageable, and the bite-sized chunks of the different chapters of the program. And
I remember that when it started happening, it all started happening all at once, right? Like all of a sudden, everybody wanted to talk to you. You had lots of interviews. We were in a position to make decisions about what was the best option for you, for your life, where there are double sets of twins and you're busy, your busy mom life. So are you happier?
oh, I'm infinitely happier. Infinitely. I wouldn't have, reluctant is not the right word. I mean, I was like, digging my heels in, thinking, even though I'd signed up for it and I had talked to my husband and said that I was going to do this because I knew it was something that I needed to do, I still was reluctant about getting started. I think I might have even pushed you off a couple weeks, and then if I remember correctly, it was a year ago, and I don't remember yesterday, but
I do remember that. Yes, you did.
so I think I even pushed you off a couple weeks. But I mean, reluctant is probably not strong enough of a word initially, because I was just so hesitant to like reflect and look back. And it just felt like a whole nother part of my life before two sets of twins and before our move to the Pacific Northwest. And it just felt so foreign to me. But I'm infinitely happier now. And I don't want to get emotional, but to think that you really only have one life, and to feel like I was kind of on autopilot for a little while. And I'm not on autopilot anymore. I'm living for me, and that what a much better example. I'm a much better parent for my kids. I'm just much happier.
Thank you, Carrie. I think that you have said absolutely everything, and I think that we're gonna end it right now. But thank you so much for telling your beautiful, inspirational, emotional story about like going from being totally reluctant to even doing this, to diving in, to working together, getting the support, putting in the effort, putting in the work, and then look at where you are now, rocking that red lipstick, feeling strong, feeling powerful, and feeling valued. So thank you so incredibly much, Carrie, for joining me, and sharing your journey with others. I greatly appreciate you.